Namaste. I'm Vivek Govekar. Welcome to the Kundalini podcast. That was Zen, this is Tao. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about the actual process as it unfolded in my life when I first awakened my Kundalini. I just noticed when I went back and looked at a few of the episodes, I think the episode when I'm talking about the chakras, I mentioned that I'm going to go through a stepwise description of what happened in the first month and so on. And then I just go on and talk about the chakras, so that's a little misleading. So today I've decided to talk about the process as it unfolded. By now, if you've watched all the episodes, the previous 14 episodes that I've taped, you know that I'm talking about my Kundalini process and in general about a Kundalini awakening, what it entails, and how to make the process go a little bit smoother, what happened to me, and why it happens, how it happens, and what it does to you and how it changes you. So far what I have mentioned is the Kundalini awakens. There is a snake-like energy that moves up and down your spine. It starts cleansing you. It starts overhauling everything, your ego, your personality. Now, the blog that I write, I constantly put links in the comments section about for the blog that I wrote about some of these things. So if you go back and read that blog, it's kundaliniconsortium.org. There is a lot of references by not just me, but other people as well who have gone through this experience and are going through this experience. So one of the questions that was posted on that blog was, what exactly do you mean by removal of the ego? What exactly do you mean by that? And I've talked about what the ego is. Well, let me give you a few details about how it happened to me and my my personality as it changed from who I used to be to who I am today and what I am becoming. As I have said before, the ego is just false assumptions about yourself. So in your psyche, in your emotional body, there are 7 chakras and there are 7 bodies associated with those chakras. The only one that we know is the physical body. The other bodies are visible to us only as auras. If you stare closely at a person and right there emanating from their skin, you can sometimes see an aura. Not everyone can see them, but if you look closely enough, you see a little glow, like a little bit of light that surrounds your body, and that's the aura. So these are these other 6 bodies. So in your emotional body, you have accumulated a lot of trauma, and as the chakras and the nadis are cleansed by the energy, more and more of that trauma is brought to the surface, as I've mentioned before. You seem like you are reliving that episode. That's how it looks to you when you are undergoing this process. But what it is actually doing is just bringing that up. It was hidden, repressed for a long, long time. So it becomes that much more difficult to let go of it. The feeling that you're going through as the energy moves through your body is that of a burning sensation, a very hot burning sensation. And typically what happens in a spontaneous awakening is you may not awaken the Kundalini smoothly, so it is going to go here and there through the different nadis, may not go exactly how it's supposed to go in a orderly manner. So that adds to the discomfort, that adds to some of the pain and agony that you suffer, because not only are you not feeling well emotionally, you're physically hurt and there's blockages that need to be removed. And so the energy stays there, creating pain, creating discomfort, and you just have to go through it. There is no medical treatment for Kundalini other than just taking supplements, calming yourself down through meditation, breathing practices. Some of the helpful practices when you're going through this, the first month when it awakened and I was just going haywire, my body was contorting all over the place, I would sit in the bathtub. I still take long baths and showers where I'm putting cold water on my back to kind of cool it down, allow the energy to flow smoothly, give some relaxation to my muscles and make sure they're relaxed. I use the exercise ball, and usually I'm just laying on it. My body's completely twisted in that chakra position, which is a wheel pose in the yoga, like yoga poses that you do. The wheel pose is what happens, and that allows the energy to move through my spine, clearing a lot of blockages. Taking a lot of antioxidants is important because the energy that is churned up, the emotions that it churns up, and what it's discarding, there's a lot of free radicals in the body, and that starts oxidizing your body and your cellular structure. So you need a lot of antioxidants to quell those free radicals and make sure that you stay in a balanced physical state. Your pH of your body needs to be balanced so it's not acidic. You need to eat more alkaline fruits like grapes or cherries and anything alkaline that'll reduce the amount of acid in your body. Take less caffeine. In fact, if you can give up caffeine altogether, that's best. So it is a process of discarding a lot of trauma. It is a process of discarding a lot of repetitive habits and behavior that you have. For example, in the past, I used to drink alcohol as a nightcap, take a little couple of drinks to relax and unwind. But over time, alcohol has a very detrimental effect on your body, taken excessively. Of course, in moderate amounts, if you're just having a glass of wine, you're fine. Taken excessively, and especially hard liquor, is bad for you. That's well proven. That doesn't need to be established. What alcohol also does to you is puts you in a negative, depressed state of mind. Alcohol is a depressive that kind of numbs your pain, your emotional pain, and puts you in that state where you're numbed. But that's not good for the psyche. If you're trying to put positive affirmations, positive thoughts in your mind, alcohol is going to take you in the opposite direction. I had not necessarily a problem with alcohol, like I wasn't an alcoholic, but I did use alcohol quite often to medicate myself and to resolve my stress. So that had to go away immediately. I had a bar set up at home and that was gone. Everything was gone pretty soon. And it wasn't even difficult this time because the energy and what it was telling me was taking me in the right direction. The first thing that happened when it started churning inside me was, after my first experience, I went into a highest state possible. I went into the state where what you call samadhi or union with the higher self. But something inside me, my inner voice and whatever was going inside me, told me that this is not going to last. You just get a glimpse of this, then you're going to come back down and resolve all your issues, tie up all your karmic loose ends, get on the right path. So that meant giving up alcohol, giving up partying, having a more moralistic approach towards life. As I've said before, the ego starts to struggle with that because the ego has a false assumption about who you are. And that's what it means by removing the ego. To answer the question of the person that asked me, what does that mean? How do you remove the ego? It means not doing things that make you feel better and not disregarding the things that somewhere in your mind, your conscience is telling you this is the right path to go, but you just disregard because you're going along with what everyone else is doing. This is a difficult process, and it took me about 3 or 4 years after that, with lots of struggles related to emotions that would flare up, lots of struggles related to what I wanted to do and the direction where I wanted to go, but had to be brought back and calmed and stilled. And eventually, if you start listening to the inner voice that is leading you to the right things, and your conscience that is telling you, well, this is not the right thing to do, you start listening to that voice. The actions you undertake after that, once you start actually listening to your inner voice and not just getting carried away wherever the senses are taking you, naturally the person and the actions done by the person are beneficial, positive, helpful to what is actually needed for that person, that individual, and not what they want and what takes them away. So for example, if you're stressed out with your job and you're drinking alcohol to kind of reduce that stress, and that has become a normal routine, you then, after an awakening, start to question why you do that. And you say, well, it's not the alcohol that is the problem. It's the job I have that is the problem. That job is making me miserable. I'm stressed out, and my body is sending out signals saying, you're not meant to do this. If you're not feeling comfortable, of course, some jobs are tougher than others, and sometimes you will have stress. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about every day you dread going to work and it is misery doing that, but you think that that's all you have to do. Naturally, when you come back home, you are trying to somehow find that equilibrium, find that balance back to who you're supposed to be. And you use alcohol, you use prescription drugs. I wasn't, but other people fall into that trap. The better solution is to find a job or find a career or find something to do with yourself, which may make less money, may not be as glamorous, but puts you in a calm, stress-free state of mind. Now, that's not always easy, of course. The world that we live in doesn't give you that choice sometimes. But the healthier way of de-stressing yourself is through meditation, through mindful awareness, through affirmations, through healthier practices. Because as I've said in one of my previous episodes, you want to get on that upward spiral where your vibration is higher, your mindset is better, you're in a healthier state of mind. You associate with better people, not the same competitive people that are trying to pull you down and are nice to you, to your face. Stay away from those people and get better friends. Get people who really truly care about you, who are well-wishers, who kind of lead you towards the right path, what's good for you. In the past, it was difficult for me to even see that because the ego creates an illusion that is very, very strong. And slowly, by and by, because of the contortions in my body and because of all these scary things that I was seeing, one by one, those pieces started to fall apart. And that's how the ego gets destroyed. Because it's not that it's not there. I can still assume that pose of that person that I used to be. But with an awakening, with your real witnessing self a few feet back, witnessing all of your behavior, now you wouldn't do things that you did in the past. In the past, you were not thinking. You were just being led by different forces. And you were getting carried away. Those were not your decisions. Those were decisions that were being made for you. Now, even if you're doing that, somewhere inside, there's a mechanism that pulls you back and witnesses all of that. Okay, so that happened in the first few months. In the next few months, as I started putting more and more of these spiritual sayings, spiritual thoughts in my body, there began a change in who I would associate with, the people in my life, and I started becoming more and more isolated. And that isolation created more realization about, a deeper realization about who I was involved with, how they were taking me in directions that I didn't want to go. And that is where the difficulties began, because now socially you're doing things that are unacceptable for the people that are using you to achieve something that they want, not necessarily beneficial to you. And one part of you is taking you away from it, and the other part and other factors in your life are trying to pull you towards that direction. That creates friction. That sometimes creates that change from who you used to be, and you're still in the same social circles, and those people to understand that this is not the same guy. This person is completely different. That old person has been wiped clean or is being wiped clean is more difficult, and you get constantly reminded of that person, and there is always that temptation, or from what they think is temptation, to pull you back into that because they think they're doing the right thing for you. Like, why wouldn't you want to enjoy and party? But deeply within you, you are not happy. You know something is wrong, something is amiss, and you start going towards that inner journey. This took about 4 to 5 years, and those 4 to 5 years were very harrowing and very difficult, not just for me, but for people surrounding me. And eventually, now in the last few months, maybe a year and a half, I have been able to go back and connect to some people and say, hey, this is what I was going through, and I'm sorry, all these things are not part of me, but the new person that I have become, so and so, such and such, this is who I am. If they accept it, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine too. But you have to go on your own path. And it's a difficult path. Kundalini is not easy. It is a path that will take you to your true self. It will create harmony and bliss within you. But it will cost you some of the things that you cannot have your cake and eat it too. You can't remain the old you and still assimilate the Kundalini. No. The old you is what is being discarded. The old you was a projection, an illusion created by the ego. If you have had a gradual process going towards spirituality, you have been in the practice of meditation, and you were already giving up those things or never caught on to those things that misled you, your process, once the Kundalini awakens, will be easier. Which is why Ashtanga Yoga or any form of religion first talks about chastity, good behavior, morality, discriminative thought that chooses the right action, not rushing into things. And that is why those things are important in the scriptures. When the Kundalini awakens, you don't have time to make those adjustments as the energy is doing its work and still be a normal person. It is going to be violent. Energy wants everything to be cleansed. The more you resist, the more difficult it gets. But you will be cleansed, you will be changed, and you will become a different person. And nothing that somebody from the outside says will take you in a different direction, because a few steps there and the energy will pull you back and create what it wants to do. It is completely autonomous. It is a very intelligent higher power, and it wants the best for you. It knows that the ego is going to resist and create problems, and it has ways of dealing with the ego. And nobody on the outside, nothing they say is going to change that. That needs to be understood. People think it is just, maybe it's just a process of, okay, yesterday I was this and today I'm a different person. No, it really is a gradual process that needs to be undertaken with complete attention and focus. And only then will you be able to assimilate. You have to go where the energy leads you, regardless of how scary it seems, regardless of how much you're afraid to let go. Letting go is important. And that is the most difficult thing I found. That fear of letting go. But once you let go, and that becomes a habit, you realize that the more you let go, the better you get, the better things are exposed within you, not something coming from the outside. The letting go and the fear of it was just things that you didn't need in the first place. And that's why you were so scared of letting them go. Because your assumption, your illusion was that by letting these things go, a part of you will go away. And it does. But the part that can be taken away from you was not you in the first place. The real you is within. Go along with the energy, work with the process, and you will discover a new reality, a better reality. I hope that was helpful. Thank you for watching. Namaste.